Great. So today is a big topic of, we already partially touched it. It's about Navagva and Dashagva Rishis. And for me, it was a big discovery long ago. I understood what these 9 rays, Rishis mean, or 9 cows if you want, Navagva. Because Go is a ray of light and a cow. And Dashagva Rishis, 10 cows or 10 rays Rishis. Shubhendu writes about them in The Secret of the Veda, and those who study, they know what he means. Yeah, there he says interesting things. He says that these 9 rays can be the padas, or the levels of consciousness, 9 levels of consciousness, or can be also 9 months. And that is something interesting. It kind of adds dimension of spirituality to understanding of space, what space is about. Yeah? It's not only in terms of location, kind of in our mind, but in terms of unfolding that location in time. And so if we take 12 months as a full cycle of events, then we would understand that 9 has some role to play within the 12. And once these 9 are covered, the being is ready to be born. And it's quite interesting because 9 months is exactly the time for the human being to be ready to be born. Yeah? It's within 9 months that the whole process of evolution of consciousness in the body is formed or fulfilled. So there was beautiful several books on this topic of embryonic life. One of them was Beyond the Brain by Stanislav Grof. He studied that particular consciousness of embryonic life. And there he defined several matrices, so to say, several periods of embryonic life. First is oceanic, and it ends up with a very great pressure, and many people were drawing Mahakali and all kind of demons attacking them. It is the last stage before birth, because the pressure on the embryo grows. And with that pressure...
Could you please give the name of this book again, please?
Yeah, Beyond the Brain. Stanislav Grof. He was dealing with LSDs and with those people kind of recovering their memories of embryonic life. And before, even some memories were there even of people when they described how their parents met for the first time. So it seems that the soul was actually making those parents meet, kind of causing them to come together for its own sake to be born. So they had to kind of copulate, couple, and produce the child. And also all kinds of memories. It's an amazing research he did. He's considered to be one of those founders of the integral psychology. Yeah. Ken Wilber kind of hijacked this term from him, but he is the one who was kind of trying to figure out how life before birth was connecting us to birth. And then there is another book, I forgot his name, Murphy, I think. And he wrote about the our life after death. Yes, all those after-death experiences, people in clinical death, the coma, when they go into coma, where they go, and they reach the shore where they have to leave the body, and then they come back, or how they go through the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there is a light. All these are described. It's a scientific research. But what is interesting, if these two are taken, so we can see how the soul comes into body, and then how it lives in the womb, how it grows. So this first stage, oceanic stage, is very interesting. So he takes these stages and he identifies them with actually 10 avatars of Vishnu. Yeah? So we have a fish first, this is oceanic stage, and so on, the development into the animal life, and then from animal to human, half animal, then a human, finally. And interestingly enough, even physiologically, if you look at the pictures of the embryo, you will see that they are identical with the embryos of those animals. At their stages. So at certain stage, the embryo of a human being is exactly as the fish. So, and I was thinking, if it is so, if I was a fish just recently, not very long ago, in the womb of my mother, then that embryo was in the resonance with all the fish in the world. Yeah? And then frog, and then next, and then lizards, and then so one by one, we within 9 months. That's about Navagva Rishis actually. Within 9 months, we covered the whole range, the whole evolutionary cycle of from the beginning, from the first monocellular organism to the most formed human being within 9 months. Amazing. Yeah? So we have the experience, we have the knowledge of the experience of these all evolutionary beings which preceded us, and we embody them in ourselves. We have inbuilt knowledge of their own perception consciousness. We have in us reptiles, fish, everyone. There was a joking story of, always comes to me when I speak about this, of Zhuangzi, who was, when he was walking with his disciple, or his friend, over the bridge, and then fish jumped out of the water. And he said, "Oh, how happy fish is jumping out of the water." And he looked, his friend looked at him and said, "You don't know, you are not the fish. How do you know that she is happily jumping?" And he looked at him and said, "How do you know that I don't know? You are not me." So this is something interesting to examine, re-examine, revisit in this format of that we know how fish feels. I think this deeper knowledge is within us. We really know where animals are happy, when they are not happy. We can see it, we can feel it, we can know it because we were them. And within 9 months, we covered the whole. And it's interesting that every human being to be born has to cover the whole evolution from the beginning within 9 months. And on the 10th month, we are born. And this is 10th month is exactly Dashagva Rishis. You are born into a new form. You depart from the womb. Basically, it is even considered, departure from the womb is considered to be a death. Yeah, you die to the womb and you are born to a new separate being. The navel is being the link, the string, navel string is cut, and you depart. You really depart because the string is cut. The life supply, the life connection is cut. And it's amazing because the same life connection, the same navel string is available between our physical and vital body. And when that navel string is cut, then the body departs from the physical. It's amazing how it is all built in the same image. So Navagva Rishis, we looked into this. I have my PowerPoint. Today I will be talking about this, how Navagva Rishis become Dashagva, this transition from one room to another, from one birth to another, dying to one form and being born to another. Is it still meaningful? Bill, you're looking very concerned.
I told my wife I was half dog when I married her, and she didn't believe me at the time, but now she does. No, I'm not concerned, Vladimir. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay. If you have any questions.
That connection I had with my last dog was almost psychic. So I don't know, not that fits in anywhere, but you know, it was a very deep relationship.
Yeah, you can see that this is changing in the world, and all the animals are changing their behavior. You can find so many videos which are unbelievable, unthinkable, how animals are coming together of different kinds. You know, chicken and dog and cat live together, love each other, take care of each other. This was never possible before, you know. Tiger and bear and lion live together, and wolf happily. This never would happen ever. They don't come close to each other. But now it becomes normal. And some deer and some, you know, cat and deer somehow. There are so many videos on YouTube about the animals that they fish, whales, dolphins. Whales are coming to kiss you or something. Unbelievable. So I just wonder. Yes.
Can I say so? Yesterday I saw on the TV that a new form of sport, not very new, has come up, which is called dog dancing, where the dogs are dancing with the human beings. They actually taught the steps and they dance as a dance partner. And they are walking so beautifully.
Taught the steps. This is nice.
So it's so interesting what you're saying, that yes, they are becoming more humanized.
That's so beautiful.
And they lose the connection to their own, you know, world, to their kind of instincts of the animals, and they shift because they start trusting people. They shift and become very different beings. They can make mistakes. They can eat wrong food, they can get sick, which would not be possible in their own instinct zone. Yes? And we notice this with our the cats, wild cats which live in our barn, fair cats. And we noticed that those who came closer to us and wanted to be caressed and so on, they died first when the coyotes came, because they lost that sense of self-protection. They were relying on human beings. And those who didn't come, they survived. Interesting, huh?
Even their consciousness is changing.
Yeah. Human beings bring new kind of dimension into their life, and they start kind of following them. Mother speaks about cats here, remember, yes? One of those cats, Kitty, what was her name, was so close to human beings already, and Mother says she had already formed psychic being, and in the next birth, she will be born as a human being. This is Mother's words. So there is something going on within them, rapid evolution of the soul, of course, not of the form. Form stays. Form is exhausted its possibilities. That form will be the same. But the soul within the being needs different form later to continue the journey. Interesting. So it all relates to this idea of shift from one room to another. So to shift to the Dashagva Rishis, we have to step into the overmental consciousness, beyond the mental consciousness. Let me project the... We had this already. Some of these slides I changed a bit because I want to keep this idea. So you can see, well, this is our lower creation. Then we have our mind, our physical, vital mind, and the dynamic mind. This is all that thinking, reason mind, proper human. So these are the highest level of the mind, which is breaking into intuitive, are still illumined. We are within illumined, the highest mind, and then we break into intuitive over mind logos. This is over mental proper. So when this is the top, this is Navagva Rishis. I will show you in a different format. Let me find that slide. Here it is. So these are Navagva 9 levels. Physical mind, physical, vital, physical, mental, physical, 3 physical realms, 3 vital realms, and 3 mental realms, which 3 times 3 builds up the 9. The terminology is taken from the mother. Mother brought this terminology to Sri Aurobindo, by the way. It is the terminology from the occultism. It is used in the Chaldean or Semitic tradition, Hebrew tradition. Hebrew tradition or Semitic or that Chaldean form has this knowledge, profound knowledge, which developed its own language. But they both come from the same source. So Sri Aurobindo adopted this knowledge, his language. He's using this language of the mother, of physical, vital, physical mind. You see that mind is everywhere in each of these. There is one mental form, mental, physical. There is mental, vital. There is mental mind. And vital is on all 3, and physical is on 3. There's physical mind, there's physical vital, and there's physical. So it means it's like interwoven into one tapestry of the being. And this is what builds up our body. Our body has the mind, mental mind, has the vital mind, has the physical mind expressing in the Vishuddha chakra, has the mental vital, our emotional being, or the Anahata chakra, has the vital, or dynamic vital, which is Manipura chakra, and then the Swadhisthana physical vital, which is connecting all the nadis into the physical, physical vital. And then we have mental physical, which is Muladhara chakra, and vital physical, the chakra on the level of the knees, and physical chakra below the feet, as Mother says. These 2 chakras are never mentioned on the level of the knees and below the feet because nobody is able to reach to that depth of consciousness, because there it is hardly available in the form of being aware of. So here we are, 3 physical levels: feet, knees, and our sexual center. Sexual center is the top, the head, on the top of the pyramid of the physical being, interestingly enough. The most mental form of the physical being. And then there are our torso, our 3 chakras of the Dantian center or the Vishuddha chakra. Well, it's well known in the Chinese tradition. All the nadis, 72,000 nadis are going through this center. They connect all the streams of electrical energy, hold the body electric. We had the presentation by Teresa and Charles about body electric. There's so many electrical signals in the body as our nervous system is acting through those streams. And then vital, our navel center, antariksha, proper vital, that crack between the worlds. We will see it today in Savitri, this crack between the worlds. Mother speaks about this crack. It is that passage which leads us beyond that antariksha. When we die, here the disconnection is taking place. So the vital. It is our that string of the life which is holding us to the physical. Here there is disconnection, and we enter through that gate or through that passage deeper into the beyond. And that passage is very dangerous, yes? In that short passage, there are many creatures from the vital world who would love to attack and to make food from us for themselves. So there we need a protection. And usually it is known in the Vedic tradition, I was mentioning this about Yama, that he sends the Sarameya dogs who are actually protecting the soul in that transition, in that tunnel to the light. Once the passage is made, so the soul goes to the psychic place. We will speak about this from the point of view of Savitri today also. I hope I will have enough time for this. And then rests there and comes back. But this passage is the passage to the beyond, above and below. One can fall below from this crack or get above. One can get into the mental vital, the paradise of the gods and so on. And there is beyond that, there is the world soul where our souls rest. So here, this mental vital is our emotional center. If vital is our pure feelings, such as egoistic jealousy, fears, all those dynamics, which are more impersonal, then mental vital is already kind of painted with the mind, made aesthetic. We have the feelings of love, we know how beauty is felt and so on. We recognize all those more refined emotions. So the feelings, the dynamics of the vital become the emotions of the mind. So here this higher heart center, anahata center. It belongs to the... Yes.
Sorry. Quick question here.
Yeah.
This vital is the intermediate zone. Would you say that?
Yes, it is intermediate.
Okay. Thank you.
Vital is a unique thing because it builds up the navel in the subtle world. That navel which has to be cut in order for us to die. So when we die, we disconnect exactly here. So, and slowly physical vital is resolved. But if we disconnect on this level, Mother had this, experience of cutting this navel with Theon. She describes this in Agenda. And she describes the difference between being dead and and exteriorization. So there is a big difference when you die and when you come out of the body. Out of body experience is not the same as dying. Because when you go out of the body, it is still the same world, the same positioning. But when you are cut, and that's what she had, and then the world changes upside down. Yes, earth becomes heaven, heaven becomes earth. You immediately know that you are dead, because the whole orientation changes. And that's how she knew she was dead, when Theon cut her string.
Why does the orientation change? Why does it become opposite?
That's what she describes in agenda. That's how she knew that the navel was cut. And she says it's very different. Most probably, well, it is like this. So what can I say? Should I really justify it? I'm not in the position to justify this.
No, not justify. I'm just saying this will be a common experience for all of us, that means.
Yes. And we will know that we are dead because of this tumbling, so to say. And I was thinking about this, Roy. I have my own thoughts, because this is described in Chandogya for the man, the heaven is heaven and earth is earth, but for the gods, the heaven is earth and the earth is heaven. There is such text in Chandogya. If you think about it, you will see that there is a reason, there is a meaning in it. Yeah? For the heavenly beings, but for beings who are not rooted in the body, physical body, the all concentration is on earth, on the embodiment. They are totally interested in it. For them, it is heaven. So from the state of the psychic being, if you want to go to heaven, you go to earth, yeah, so to say. It's just a thought, passing thought. All right, this is our torso, yeah. So 3 levels: Anahata, Manipura, and Swadhisthana, 3 chakras, yeah, covering the torso and covering the head. Vishuddha, throat chakra, Ajna, the vital mind, and Sahasrara, the mental mind. The mental mind is our ceiling. It is something the highest. We cannot break through that. We can open the energy and it can come down from above. Yeah? Usually we experience it as the descent of the force from above. But this is the crown chakra, yeah? Opening to the higher worlds. And higher worlds, that will be overmind. In Sri Aurobindo's terms, these illumined mind, these Tisrodhyavahis are these 3 heavens, 3 luminous realms, and 3 earths. Yeah, that's in the Vedas, they call them. And Trirochana Svar world, the overmental world, is beyond. And beyond there is a supermind. Sri Aurobindo many years believed that Trirochanas were the supermind, until he discovered that there is something else beyond. And he discovered it by experience, actually, by experiencing that Trirochanas cannot fully transform the physical nature. They have no power to transform the physical being. And so he had to go beyond, and beyond he discovered the triple supermind. So then he started to name it differently. This was the realm of the rays of the sun, yeah, over mind, and this was the sun, the triple supermind. We spoke a bit on the triple supermind, but these relations of these 2, and I was telling the last time that these 2 disappeared from post-Vedic philosophy and yoga, because first of all, Svar world, this Maya region, was called as an illusion and had to be bypassed. And together with overmind, supermind disappears, because this is a direct projection of the supermind. Yeah? So the sun itself loses its value, supramental value, and becomes some kind of malefic planet, and that's it. Interestingly, yeah, loses its highest value.
So the overmind is the 10th Rishi?
Yes. The 10th Rishi, when they joined to the overmind, they broke into the intuition. So the intuition comes with Indra. So there is a known Ayasya Rishi who is called, and he is bringing down the action of Indra. Indra is breaking our ceiling with his lightning, and with his lightning, as Shobindra describes as a luminous finger, fell onto our highest mind and showed us the value of our knowledge. So I would, there is a beautiful passage, maybe I'll go there because of the time, a beautiful passage in Savitri which would explain this very well. Let me then project it. It is called In the Self of Mind. I'm sure you know already this, since you study Savitri, but maybe not all of you. Praveen, do you know Savitri quite well, or are you still there?
New to it, Vladimir.
Okay. Well, then it will be a totally new thing for you, but for Jayashri and Geetashri, it will be interesting to see. I will project 1 second. I don't know where it is. I made this extract for myself, for us to read. Do you see it? Projection. So what is this self of mind? First of all, maybe I should show Savitri first. Sorry. If you look at the book of the Traveler of the Worlds, most probably we did this exercise before. It was a huge kind of thing for me, discovery of an immense importance, why the book too, Sri Aurobindo never asked anybody to comment on his poetry. Remember, with Amal Kiran, he said that Amal Kiran was asking him, why don't you send anything from book 2? He said, I cannot send you this because this is the experience which I don't need any comments on. You cannot really rectify my poetry in some way. It's not about poetry, it's about the experience. So I want to project this first. Let me do this. It is this way. Yeah, I think this is it. No? What is this? Okay, yeah, it's Savitri anyhow. So let me look into the content. And in content, we see book 2, Canto 1, World's Tale. He starts moving from matter, subtle matter, glory of life and fall. He explains the whole fall of life here. Kingdoms of a little life, godheads of the little life. So we are coming up in our 3 rojanas, we are moving into the vital worlds. Yeah, this little life is that sensations. Greater life, we have already the feelings, and then we come into the crack, into antariksha, yeah? And here we fall into the night. We go deep into the inconscient, the worlds of falsehood, the mother of evil, and the sons of darkness. And then we come out of it into the other shore, into Anahata chakra, as it were, into the paradise of the gods. So through this gap, through this fall, we come into the paradise of the gods, and we move higher into the mind, into the first physical mind, little mind, greater mind. We come into our dynamic, vital mind, which is universal mind. And then we fall into the heavens of the ideal. Interestingly, there is some passage there which leads us to the psychic being. Interesting. We will come to it because the world's soul will be behind it. And then we come into the self of mind. Self of mind is our Sahasrara chakra. And in Sahasrara chakra, here I want to project again, reproject thing to show you the passage finally. What that Sahasrara chakra is about. So when he comes to this is our ceiling, and he has to, it's everything we can achieve. It's Navagva Rishis fulfilled. Yes, it's the last 9th level. And he describes this in this way. I just highlighted passages I want to read. I cannot read everything. It's a long passage, and it will be quite long. At last there came a bare indifferent sky, where silence listened to the cosmic voice, but answered nothing to a million calls. The soul's endless question met with no response. Many people feel that this is a great spiritual realization, yes? Being in the witness mind, in the Manomaya Purusha. There paused the climbing hierarchy of worlds. So that he was climbing, there was a pause. He could rest, stay. He stood on a wide arc of summit space, alone with an enormous self of mind, which held all life in a corner of its vasts. Now you can imagine the relation of this mind to the whole life, which was held somewhere in the corner. Omnipotent, immobile, and aloof, in the world which sprang from it, it took no part. It gave no heed to the pans of victory. It was indifferent to its own defeats. It heard the cry of grief and made no sign. Impartial fell its gaze on evil and good. It saw destruction come and did not move. You can imagine that state, yeah? Destruction is falling on you and you don't move. An equal cause of things, a lonely seer, and master of its multitude of forms, it acted not, but bore all thoughts and deeds, the witness Lord of nature's myriad acts, consenting to the movements of her force. It's like Purusha, yeah? It's Manomaya Purusha, exactly. Oops. Yeah, correct. All now he seemed to understand and know. Desire came not, nor any gust of will. The great perturbed inquirer lost his task. Nothing was asked nor wanted any more. There he could stay, the self, the silence won. His soul had peace. It knew the cosmic whole. And now with the red, then, as usually Sri Aurobindo does this, suddenly a luminous finger fell. On all things seen or touched or heard or felt, and showed his mind that nothing could be known. That must be reached, from which all knowledge comes. The skeptic ray disrupted all that seems and smote at the very roots of thought and sense. In a universe of nescience, they have grown, aspiring towards a superconscious sun, playing in shine and rain from heavenlier skies, they never can win, however high they reach, or overpass, however keen they probe. This is the ceiling. Whatever they beat around, however they want to get to the truth, they can't. So that finger, luminous finger, is that lightning of Indra breaking the ceiling. Ayasya Rishi bringing Indra's action to show to our Navagva knowledge that nothing can be known. A doubt corroded even the means to think. It's in our lower hemisphere. Distrust was thrown upon mind's instruments. That's how Sri Aurobindo lost his trust in the mind, yes? When he realized that by the mind you can prove anything, and all the opposite points. Mind is able to prove anything. So how can you trust it? Where is the truth? There must be some other truth. All that it takes for reality's shining coin, proved fact, fixed inference, deduction clear, firm theory, assured significance, appeared as frauds upon time's credit bank, or assets valueless in truth's treasury. Amazing. Sri Aurobindo is pressing out of it the last juice. Yeah, the magic heart of built-up certitudes made out of glittering dust and bright moonshine, in which it shrines its image of the real, collapsed into the nescience whence it rose. Only a gleam was there of symbol facts, interesting symbol, huh? That shroud the mystery lurking in their glow, and falsehoods based on hidden realities by which they live until they fall from time. Because everything grew from the inconscient and up to our Sahasrara chakra, after the illumined mind, it is all the formation of the inconscient. Everything is built from there, and there it falls back. They cannot break to the truth however high they fly, however powerfully they try to reach. Our mind is a house haunted by the slain past. This time factor comes. These Navagva Rishis, as from the beginning of evolution till this moment when we are born, by slain past, yeah, haunted. Ideas soon mummified, ghosts of old truths, gods, spontaneities tied with formal strings and packed into drawers of reasons trim bureau. You know, reasons trim bureau, they're all there, packed into the drawers. Each drawer has its own package. A grave of great lost opportunities. A grave, not even bureau. Or an office of misuse of soul, for misuse of soul and life. And all the waste man makes of heaven's gifts, and all the squanderings of nature's store, a stage for the comedy of ignorance. This is our highest knowledge. He started that he realized everything, that he knew everything, he saw everything. Yeah, and now this is the skeptic ray, the lightning of intuition, tells him about his knowledge. Its highest wisdom was a brilliant guess, its mighty structured science of the world's a passing light of being's surfaces. There was nothing there but a scheme drawn by sense, a substitute for for eternal mysteries, a scroll figure of reality, a plan, and elevation by the architect word imposed upon the semblances of time. This is a very intuitive vision. I can't dwell on it now because of lack of time, but I would love to come to it again and again. There's something packed here because the word is real, but it imposes its elevation, architect word, on the semblances of time, on all those symbols created in time by the mind. It imposes its own reality or its truth. Existence self, I skip this great spectator and creator mind was only some half-seeing's delegate, a veil that hung between the soul and light, an idol, not the living body of God. Now, I will stop the sharing and want to show you the picture from my presentation, which actually explains this very well. This here, you can see it, yeah? This picture we saw many times. Here we rise to the top of the illumined mind. This is the ceiling, huh? Blue. You see blue, 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 blue. Purple and red and blue, blue, blue. All this blue is our lower hemisphere. These are Navagva Rishis. And this yellow, suddenly new luminous finger, that color of the intuitive mind, which is part of the overmind. This is overmind. This is the skeptic ray of the sun breaking through and bringing totally new dimension, which blue didn't have. Blue doesn't have yellow, doesn't have gold in it. So this golden, uninvolved knowledge from the supermind, which is reaching through the overmind to the lower hemisphere, gives us a true knowledge. And this is what Vedic Rishis were looking for. They wanted to become Dashagva Rishis. They wanted to include the overmental realm.
Vladimir, is it okay to ask a question here?
Yes, this is, I have done my part, yes.
I mean, thanks, Vladimir. I think it was a very beautiful poem. And reflecting on the same, I have a question, Vladimir,
Sure.
And also, not just on the poem, but I also want to ask this question in a very broader sense in the light of this poem, but also taking into account your previous studies of the Vedas. The question is simple, but I want to ask you, but what would you consider to be the epistemology that is revealed in the Vedas? If I'm a student of a Veda trying to study the Vedas, do they mention directly anywhere that this is the epistemology, or at least is there a hint of what could be a possible epistemology in the Vedic tradition? And that is.
By the way, you can see that in the ancient Vedanta, which actually by many people include into the Veda, although I don't include Samhita and Upanishads are two different periods. But in the ancient Vedanta, they speak, because epistemology is a very mental framework. You already speak different mental language. And so there are different epistemological frameworks in the ancient Vedanta. For example, Taittiriya starts with this. Taittiriya starts with 5 different epistemological frameworks, like Adhi Lokam, Adhi Yajnam, Adhi Vidyam, Adhi Prajam, Adhi Atmam. And these are epistemological frameworks, all different. And still, they're kind of complementary to one another. It's quite amazing if you think of it. Or we have Adhibhutam, Adhidaivam, and Adhyatmam. These are also three different epistemological frameworks. They are about how we know and what we know. Yes, if Adhibhuta, if you learn everything about the manifestation, so we use our senses, we learn from our senses, which are feeding us with information from outside, to our sense mind, which is selecting it. This is an epistemological framework. But when you take it as Adhidaiva, you will see immediately, oh, wait a minute, we are not studying the things, the object of sense, we are studying the very faculties of consciousness, how they function. It's another epistemological framework. So we are not learning about the world, we are learning about how we know about what we know. Yeah? So we should kind of turn onto itself the very faculties of knowledge or consciousness. And then the Adhyatmic is totally different when the faculties are turned within and they're looking for the inner self, for the unborn self. And it is another epistemological framework. So what will you do with all this?
I mean, also another way of saying is, I mean, what is a valid pramana? Is that the right thing to ask? So if
pramana is another later word of the mental structure of consciousness. Yes. What is the proof? You wanted to have some kind of example or proof of what is real. How do you have it in the mind? Just now I was showing you what the mind knows. Deduction, clear, proved fact. You just name it. What pramana do you want to have?
But I thought that epistemology is really asking the question of maybe how say, for example, the Brahman can be revealed to the Atma. What is the entity that reveals Brahman to the Jiva?
Whatever the question, whatever the question, it is fine. But you have the particular, set epistemological framework. You believe that you will be able, with your thought process, to arrive at this. Yeah? So this is your belief. You are within the system of belief, or the system of instruments which are determining your epistemology. Yeah? So if you believe that you can know things by supplying by the senses the information to sense mind, and sense mind will figure out, then you are in the adhibhautic epistemological framework. If you believe that it is not so, that you will have to look into the senses themselves, indriyas, and see how they work within themselves, what they really represent, what are they, what is your mind, what is this your mind is doing, and what it is about, how it functions, and what is it really, what are your feelings, what are your emotions, what is seeing, what is hearing. Then you are building up a totally different type of epistemology. You are learning something very differently about the world. Yeah? And if you turn them within, you have totally different manifestation of knowledge and totally different set of instruments. So epistemology is about the set of instruments of knowledge, where you turn them outside, inside, or even into the innermost self. So, and that is how they define this Adhyatma, Adhidaiva, and Adhibhuta. And it doesn't mean that it has to be separated, but usually it is. In the mental structure, it becomes more oriented towards the object of sense. You will have to find out what it is about. And on that, you build all your epistemology. And system of belief. It's a belief system, actually. So how do we know? How do you know? This is epistemology. How you know anything?
I mean, what could be a valid means of acquiring knowledge? So in that sense...
Valid means again the same. pramana. You're in the mental structure. It's so lovely to hear this. You are in the structure of the mental formations, where the mind wants to have the structure to the elements by which, composing which, combining which, working with which, you will arrive at the truth.
Does Shabda Praman also fall in the same framework?
A little bit not, yeah. Shabda Pramana is, but they are using it in the religious terms, like mantras, yeah, like the Rishis revealed the truth, and there is something deeper there, and that's what Sri
I was
Aurobindo
asking
said.
about that, Vladimir. Yeah, my original question was about Shabda Praman, but I framed it in an English term. But I was actually intending to ask you on Shabda Praman. Yeah.
Look at this. Even here he says elevation by the architect word, capital W, imposed upon the semblances of time. So this reality of the mind, which is fashioned in this like grave bureau of so capturing all the insect flying from the above and making it dead to make a food for itself. The mind is doing it, kind of mortifying the life in order to capture it and to hold it and to possess it in some way. It is still being enlivened by the word. The word makes it actually half alive, I think, and elevation by the architect word imposed upon the semblances of time. There's something very mysterious here, which I cannot really even totally understand, but intuitively I feel that it is true. Because when the word is reaching out from the highest depths of our consciousness to these symbols which were made by the mind, and this is a very good idea for our symbolic Savitri Sunday symbolism, because the mind makes everything symbols. Yeah? Mind makes dead formations which represent the truth in some way. And the word, when it arrives and is applied to the symbols, makes it seem to be alive.
Vladimir, next class, can we please discuss more on this from Savitri?
Yeah, we do. We did a huge part today of, yes. And what is happening after this when he moves upward, yeah, from Savitri, from to the higher realms, and this is so beautiful. Let us close with this passage from Savitri. Let me project it, and that would be a wonderful conclusion for our session today. Let me find where it is. I already opened it here. Okay. So when he moves from self of mind upward, what happens upward? Yeah. So there will be the heavens of the ideal, amazing topic, because there will be some entry to the, we spoke self of mind, the world soul will be the recovery of the psychic realm. He will meet the mother, the divine mother. The divine mother is the holder of all our souls, according to Savitri. It is there that we rest. Yeah? And it is so beautifully when he ends the world soul, you could read it here. When he comes to the top, when he is still alive, not dropping his body, comes to the psychic world where we actually rest. It's like we come to the womb of the world mother, yeah? And there we could rest She holds us together. So here it is. His spirit was made a vessel. Do you see it? I will end with this kind of reading. His spirit was made a vessel of her force, of the mother's force. Mute in the fathomless passion of his will, he outstretched to her his folded hands of prayer. Then, I love this Sri Aurobindo's then, in a sovereign answer to his heart, a gesture came, as of worlds thrown away, and from her remnants, lustrous mystery raised, one arm half parted the eternal veil. You know that the Divine Mother has a veil, as Isis, and so one hand parted the eternal veil, half parted, not fully. A light appeared, still and imperishable. Attracted to the large and luminous depths of the ravishing enigma of her eyes, he saw the mystic outline of a face. Overwhelmed by her implacable light and bliss, an atom of her illimitable self, mastered by the honey and lightning of her power, tossed towards the shores of her ocean ecstasy, drunk with the deep golden spiritual wine, he cast from the rent stillness of his soul a cry of adoration and desire, and the surrender of his boundless mind, and the self-giving of his silent heart. He fell down at her feet, unconscious, prone. Yeah. Sri Aurobindo saw the face of the mother. Nobody saw the face of the Isis of the Divine Mother. She never moved away the veil from her face. In occultism it is known, nobody saw her face. But here it seems half-parted veil. So this is the next, and then there will be the kingdoms of the greater knowledge. Already no more mind, and these are the kingdoms of the supermind. All right, so we stop here.
Just one last question, Vladimir. I mean, earlier you were talking about the notion of, I'm sorry, the notion, the notion of mind being a symbol generator. And this idea is also there in computer science, where we view computers as symbol processing machines. So I want to ask you, is there any textbook or Shastra where I can read more about this idea? Because at least at that realm, I mean, it's interesting idea. Is there some more information to read about?
I think you could go to Panini, you study Sanskrit, study Panini and Shastra, and there you will have all for symbolizing, because this language, knowledge of language, how language functions, Sanskrit functions, will be a really good thing for you if you're looking for that, for capturing the truth into the symbols.
And also that means it's going to be a long journey.
Definitely. Nobody actually gave you yet the results, so most probably will be very long journey.
Thank you.
Yes. Here we'll study something else, which is not which is not about how to frame things into symbols. We are looking into the truth, which is behind the symbols. We want to know what is there beyond them. And once we have the sense, we can understand better the symbols. We can see that what they represent really, what they are about. Otherwise, it looks like we are dealing with symbols, and by symbols we describe symbols. By presentations we make presentations of presentations on presentations. So it can go on, and that's usually the scientific mind, yes, but works that way. And so you can, as Sri Aurobindo says, when everything is explained, nothing is known. So this is the case of the mind. Yeah? You can explain everything. You can put everything in order, and you know nothing.
Right.
So we want to know something. And we want to use also the mind. We don't want to cast away the mind. But we want the mind to do its work properly, with our full awareness, what it does and where its shortcomings and where its strengths. It's like an instrument, like a knife or like a hammer. Yes, they are important. But what will you do with them? Right? The hammer is not the truth. It's just to build something and to build a building in which you will live, and your life is the truth. So, great. Okay, we can stop here for today. We're already over time. And thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Vladimir.
Bye.
Have a good week, everybody.